If you're on the fence about starting your own home studio, then this video is for you. I'm gonna go over my 6 pros and 6 cons of having a home studio and why I believe every artist should have one.
Pro number 1, creative freedom.
The last thing you wanna do as an artist that just finished writing a song is to have to schedule when you can record it. And the worst part is that the better the studio is that you go to, the more likely it is that they're gonna consistently be booked by other artists. So now you gotta schedule your vibe around their availability. When all you wanted to do was record the song that you was excited about and vibing to the most in that moment because you just wrote it. There's just some things in life that ain't the same when you have to put them in your calendar.
You know, Martha, I have an evening free on the 17th at 8:30. Thought you and I could schedule some intimacy. Well, of course, Harold. I'll be so horny on the 17th at 8:30. And plus, it's so much better to schedule it than to do it right here and right now when we're both thinking about it. Indeed it is.
So pro number 1 for having a home studio is having the creative freedom to record whenever you want.
Pro number 2, no time limit.
While we're on the subject of schedules, nothing says anxiety like booking a studio session and trying to cram in a particular amount of songs in a certain block of time. And our brains start to switch gears where instead of thinking about quality, we automatically start thinking in terms of efficiency. And the clock is always ticking. So that one take Drake verse you just recorded is gonna have to do because you still got verse number 2, the hook, the ad-libs, and 2 more songs that you're trying to record before your time's up. So when your engineer goes to play it back and then ask you if it sounds straight, as long as there's nothing too crazy, you probably just gonna say it sounds good because you know you got more to do, even though you know in the back of your head that you could have done better. And it's not intentional. It's actually the way the studio is set up and designed where you have to be aware of the time or you might get cut off. Not only are you spending your money based on time, which may or may not play a factor for you depending on your relationship with money, but putting that to the side. If you just booked a session, then chances are other artists are booking sessions as well, which means whatever you don't finish, you don't finish. You can't just pay for another hour because other artists are gonna be coming in right after you. So whether you're consciously or subconsciously thinking about it, these are the last type of thoughts that you want running through your head while you're trying to record. All you should have to think about is music. So the second pro to having a home studio is having the ability to record without any time limits, which frees you to put all of your attention and all of your creative energy into making the best music that you can.
Pro number 3, more music.
You know, it's crazy how much more music you can make when you don't have to depend on someone else's availability or even the money in your pocket. It's crazy how fast you can hit those 10,000 hours people be talking about when you got a studio right there when you wake up and when you go to sleep. It's crazy how much you can obsess over your obsessions when you have the ability to create music at will. And it's not just the quantity that increases, the quality of your music benefits as well.
Pro number 4, quality control.
When you got your own home studio, you finally get the ability to obsess over the details. No more rushing through mixes, only to find a few tiny mistakes a couple days later. And yeah, you can hit up the engineer and ask them to fix it, but most places are gonna charge you. So 9 times out of 10, unless it's something really bad, you're probably just gonna let it go and try to catch it on the next one. But nobody cares about your music as much as you do. And you'd be surprised how many little things get swept under the rug that actually make a hell of a difference when it comes to the overall quality of your mix and your song. So pro number 4, hands down, is the fact that you can take the time and check every single detail because nobody's gonna be as invested in your music as you are. Still not convinced? It's cool. I got one for you.
Pro number 5, saves money.
It's sad how many artists don't put out more music simply because they're under the impression that it costs an arm and a leg to make it. Having a home studio, without a doubt, is the number 1 change I made in my music career that saves me money. The cost to break even on a song was so much higher to the point where I was lucky if I even saw a profit on them. And if you don't believe me, you can get a home studio, and every time you get a chance to go do the thing that you love, set a timer and keep track of how many hours you spend there a month. And then compare that to the hourly rate of a studio. And then tell me you ain't just saved buckets of money.
Pro number 6, flexibility.
been to several studios, and I remember a conversation I had with one of the last engineers I worked with that would later lead me to never going back to a studio again. I had just recorded a couple songs like I did every few weeks or so, and then I got hit with an opportunity to go perform in Atlanta. You know how it is, of course I wanted to perform the new songs that I just laid down, so then I hit up bruh asking for the show mixes. He said I'd have to pay for an hour if I wanted them. And I'm thinking, damn man, like all you gotta do is mute the verses and some ad-libs. It takes like 5-10 minutes tops. I mean shit, I be shopping with you all the time. Whatever. So I paid a man because I really did want to perform those songs. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little sick in the moment at first, but looking back now, I understand. Business is business. People pay for what they want. And this actually led me to my aha moment where I was finally just like, bruh, I'm just gonna do this myself. So the last benefit of having a home studio is the flexibility you have to get as many different variations to your music as you want. And now, it's easier than ever to get a quick little show mix or clean version of my song with no charge. But I've gone over several reasons why every artist should have their own home studio. So now let's look at some reasons why an artist wouldn't want to have one.
Con number 1, no space. Nothing says home studio like some cramped ass setup smashed into some random corner of a room. Trust me, I know.
For some people, this can make or break their motivation to record altogether. And depending on your situation, it's not always easy to find a place that you can get right and decorate to feel like a genuine studio. Especially if you live with other people, because ideally, you're gonna want somewhere that doesn't have a lot of people coming in and out and making noise. So the first con to having a home studio potentially is how difficult it may be to find a quiet environment with enough space. Now, if I had to push back on it, for one, I'd say that artists have literally made hit songs recording in their bathroom. And for two, luckily it's not the 1980s no more, so you can have a home studio without hardly any equipment. One time back when I lived with my parents, I went and booked a hotel for the night and I recorded an entire project. So I'm just saying, you might have to get a little creative with it.
Con number 2, no vibe.
One of the most common things I've heard artists say why they don't want a home studio is because they like the vibe they get when they go to the studio. And it's similar to the last one, but let's say you got the space. Right away, once you set everything up, it's probably not gonna have the same vibe and feel that you get when you go to a professional studio. That takes time. I mean, me personally, I say just thug it out until you can get it how you want it, piece by piece. You'd be surprised how much a little lighting and acoustic padding can change the vibe of a room. And I know some artists like to have a mob of people with them when they record. I mean, I'm the complete opposite, but a lot of artists enjoy having that as a part of their recording experience. So if that's you and the shoe fits, cool. I'm not saying you can't do it. Luckily, you can invite those same people over. Or you could even go mobile with it and just meet them somewhere else. When you go to a studio, whatever vibe they got is the vibe you get. When you have your own studio, the vibe you got is whatever the hell you want it to be.
Con number 3, upfront investment.
Even though it's more money in the long run, $50 for a studio session is a lot easier of a pill to swallow than the upfront cost it takes to start your own home studio. And the barrier to entry has gone down almost completely compared to how it used to be. But depending on what you already have, it still might require you to save up your money and put it to the side for a bit. Luckily, the most expensive thing you'll need is a computer that can handle Pro Tools or whatever DAW you choose to use. Me personally, I'd rather spend a little more money now if it means saving a lot more money in the long run. But like I said, it's easier just to drop $100 real quick for some studio time than it is to make that bigger investment where you buy once and you're good. And for most people, it's all gonna boil down to one thing: how much they believe in themselves and the chances that they'll succeed.
Con number 4, learning curve.
One reason an artist might not want a home studio is because they don't know nothing about mixing music. Fair enough, you definitely don't want to put out a subpar mix. And a bad mix has a funny way of turning even the best of songs with the most potential into what sounds like a whole bunch of hot garbage. It's the same way that an amazing mix can take a song that's just meh and make it sound like a whole new song. So what's the downfall to having a home studio? Well, if you don't know how to mix like that, it's a little discouraging to think that no matter how good of a song I write, it's not gonna matter because the quality of my mixing isn't gonna give it the chance it deserves to be heard like that, because it doesn't even pass the 3-second ear test. Now you're saying, what's the 3-second head test? Well, it's nothing. I just made it up. But it's the 3 seconds that somebody takes to decide whether or not your song is trash. The good news is, all of us come into this world not being able to speak or understand the words that we can speak and understand now. And if you're listening right now, I'm assuming that you can understand me, which means you can learn and understand words that used to just sound like gibberish to you as a baby. So many people don't like doing things that they're not good at doing. And interesting enough, people also love doing the things that they are good at doing. But like most things, we're not going to be good at it at first. We have to practice in order to get better. But some people, they don't ever practice because they don't like doing it. And they don't like doing it because they're not very good at it. And they're not very good at it because they don't ever practice. Not only is mixing a learnable skill, but it's one that can be extremely sped up by using resources like recording templates, where most of the work is already done for you. You want to know the secret to recording more music that sounds professionally mixed? Let me show you how easy this is. All you do is record your vocals and then you drag it down to where it goes. But here's the part that you're not gonna believe. This is what it sounded like before.
If you show love to me, I'm paranoid, I gotta shut it down. Fake love, fake.
And this is after you drag it down.
Need around. If you show love to me, I'm paranoid, I gotta shut it down. Fake love, fake love, shit. Stop playing with me. No ties, I cut all my strings. On God.
That's my secret to getting the perfect rap vocals every single time. If you're trying to turn your songs into hits, then go to indieleverage.com/templates and get the perfect rap vocals today. We got the perfect rap vocals template on our website, but whether you get one from me or from someone else, either way, I highly recommend that you use recording templates to fast track your ability to create quality mixes. Of course, you got other resources out there like taking courses, you can watch YouTube University, or you could even hit up a local engineer in your area and offer to pay them in exchange for them teaching you everything they know. And some, they might be resistant to giving you all their secret sauce, but some people are gonna be like me, where they got no problem giving out game. The only thing I wouldn't recommend is going to school for it. And it's nothing against them, just being real though. I easily learn at least 10 times as much watching YouTube videos and actually being in the lab mixing my music than I ever did in the 2 years I spent there getting a degree for it. Con number 5, helpful input. Have you ever heard that 2 pair of eyes are better than 1? Well, in this case, hands down, 2 sets of ears are better than 1. One of the biggest advantages of going to the studio is you get access to these people that make music sound better for a living. You can improvise with your home studio and ask for somebody to come over to give their input, but depending on who they are, they may or may not have as good of an ear as a trained audio engineer. Any engineer with their weight in salt is going to give you some ideas and some suggestions that can potentially change the entire outcome of your song. Con number 6, no interest. Another common reason I've had artists tell me why they don't want a home studio is they just don't want a home studio. And they usually say stuff like, man, I'm just trying to be an artist. I ain't trying to do all that other shit. And I feel you. I mean, there's hella things I don't want to do that comes with pursuing a music career. But let's say you really have no interest in mixing your own music. I mean, a good recording template basically fixes that to where the most you have to do is just record. But even putting templates to the side, nobody's saying that you have to record somewhere else to get mixed by someone else. You can easily just send your song off to get fully mixed while still having the advantage of a home studio, where you can take your time recording and deliver the best vocals possible. For a 7th reason against getting a home studio, I'm gonna leave that up to you. You still feel like it's a bad idea, then let me know in the comments why you shouldn't have a home studio.